I like Bitcoin too. I just don't have that many. I watched it go from 0 to 60, and I forgot his name, but he's a Max Kaiser. He was screaming and yelling about it. I go, what the hell is this guy quacking about? So it hit 20, then it retraced down to like 0 or something. So it's gone. And then Bitcoin came creeping back. So when it hit 6,000, it had momentum behind it, as a technical trader would say. So I loaded up at 6,000. So I missed quite a bit of it. But I'm still happy. I got about 70 Bitcoin now. But I'd like to get more, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
So let's talk about Bitcoin, because for a younger generation, we share similar concerns. Is that I read this book here when I was in my 20s, 30s, called The Grunge of Giants by R. Buckminster Fuller. It's an okay book. It's not great. But he said basically what my rich dad was telling me. He says the banks rip us off. He basically said our wealth is stolen. So Bucky Fuller. Our wealth is stolen via our money. So we go in and work real hard, then we put our money into savings. That's why we read Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Mm-hmm. I said savers were losers. Why would you save money when they're printing it? It made no sense to me. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And all that stuff, that's why Rich Dad was formed. So I just want to be clear. Rich Dad, Poor Dad came out. I said the savers were losers. The rich don't work for money. And your house is not an asset. Because all of it was designed to take your wealth from you.
Yeah, I mean, you opened this show talking about the good news on money, and I would argue that there is no good news on money other than Bitcoin. And you also mentioned that you don't think you have enough Bitcoin, and I would say welcome to the club. There's not a Bitcoiner alive that doesn't think they don't have enough Bitcoin. We all want more because it is basically the ultimate form of ownership or the ultimate form of money that has ever existed. And then to your other point, we have this idea in Bitcoin that everyone gets Bitcoin at the price they deserve. So it's very complicated. It's hard to understand. You need to understand a little bit about a lot of things to really start to get your head around Bitcoin. Just take all this with a grain of salt and a dose of humility. Even those that have their head around Bitcoin still don't fully understand it. Like once you start to understand how the technology works, the implications are truly staggering and profound and hard to think through. But so what is it? I mean, if private property is the power for an owner to control an asset, independent of anyone else's actions, right? That you can fully control an asset, then Bitcoin is the strongest form of private property that human beings have ever had.
And the reason I want to go into it is because we're talking before we came on with Jeff Booth. Mm-hmm. There's a whole nother dimension to Bitcoin I never realized.
Yes.
And the thing I'm excited about is that these young guys like you, who are already, I'm so old. I don't know what the web is, but you guys grew up in it. And from what I understand is young guys like you are going to take Bitcoin to a whole nother level. And I think that's what the old guys like me are saying. The government's going to come after you guys.
Yeah, and that's what Bitcoin's designed for. This is money wrapped in military-grade encryption designed to be unstoppable. So there's no conceivable way to stop it. And to Jeff Booth's point about Bitcoin being much bigger than money, it's true. I think we're going to re-architect the internet on top of Bitcoin. One of the things Bitcoin does is by being an unstoppable money, you can actually send messages on Bitcoin that are equally unstoppable. So it's going to be through Bitcoin and the higher layer protocols we build on it that we will have true free speech in the digital age. It will be the end of digital monopolies and censorship by virtue of having an unstoppable communications protocol built on top of Bitcoin. That's one of the most exciting dimensions of it. Every 4 years, the Bitcoin algorithm cuts that new supply, that newly produced Bitcoin in half. So every 10 minutes right now, it's 6.25 Bitcoin are produced every 10 minutes. And I think it's about May this year. It's sort of a probabilistic date. Around May 2024, that amount of newly issued Bitcoin every 10 minutes will go down by 50%. So to 3.25 Bitcoin every 10 minutes. What this does is it cuts the natural selling pressure on Bitcoin by half. So Bitcoin miners are typically having to sell this Bitcoin that they are awarded to cover their operational and capital expenditures. However, when the newly issued Bitcoin is cut in half, that selling pressure is reduced by half. So if you hold demand constant, this is the magic of Bitcoin price number go up technology, as we say. Every 4 years, the natural selling pressure is reduced by half. So if demand is constant, this puts upward pressure on the price, and we tend to see new all-time high Bitcoin prices roughly 500 days after the halving. So expect to see a new Bitcoin all-time high price roughly 500 days after May 2024.